Hello, welcome to another Leafmap tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Leafmap and to create some nice 3D maps with just a few lines of code. And so in this case, we're going to use the Kepler GL. This is a new protein backend I just added to the Leafmap package. So before we get into the details how to create this one, I'm going to show you the demo, the final product, what we are going to create. So this is 3D maps that you can create just using a couple lines of code, and it's a 3D map. So if you press Control on your keyboard and then if you move your mouse, you will see this one is just like it's not technically 3D, but at least it's 2.5D that you can visualize the data easily. If you hover your mouse over the data, you will be able to see the pop-up that you can show the attribute of each. For example, in this case it's a hex bin, so it's hexagon represent one data point, and you can zoom in, you can zoom out. If you use a mouse, scroll up and down, you will be able to zoom in and zoom out. Also on the left side here, you can customize how you want the map to look like. For example, this is using the H3, right? And you can also change the color. You can choose whatever color you want. I can just simply change to any color scheme you like. And once you're done with the color, you can also, for example, change the opacity. So on the left side here, if you slide to the left, it's going to be transparent, and to the right, it's going to be opaque. Also, you can change the coverage. So by default, its coverage is 1. That means it covers the entire area, but you can certainly make it smaller, just like this. So you can see it becomes smaller and smaller. It's up to you how you want to make adjustments. So this is some very basic thing you can create. You can make a lot more nice beautiful maps. So hopefully in the next couple video I will show you how to create more maps, but this is just the first map we're going to get started to create. And so there are a lot more things you can do here, but in this video we're just going to get you started. And so later on in other video I will give more detail how to use this one. And so by the way, I'm no expert on using Kepler GL. I just get started, so I learned and then found it very useful, and that's why I integrated into Leafmap, so that basically you can create a map easily with the same lines of code that you use to create the map using, for example, Folium and IPyLeaflet. Okay, so this is the best map that you can create. If you want to test it out by yourself, but you don't want to install anything on your computer, you can go to the URL. I think it's here. So you can just go to the URL leafmap.org and then /HTML Kepler_hex.html. I will also put the link in the description below, so if you want to try it out. And so next, let's get started how to actually to create this one by yourself and to customize the map if you want. So first you need to go to the leafmap.org, and this is the website where you can find all the documentation and tutorial of the Leafmap package. On the left side, if you click interactive maps, so this is where you can find some of the example maps, and this one is created using Markdown, but I embed a lot of HTML here, so that's why you will see the map here. These are still interactive, so you can zoom in, you can zoom out. On the left side here, you can click to show this. This is the customization panel, so that you can customize the map. And if you want, you can also change the, for example, the base map. By default, it's the dark mode, but you can change to light if you want. And for example, you can also change to satellite imagery. So there are all kind of ways you can customize. You can also add a CSV, for example. This hex bin, H3 hexagon, is actually created using a CSV. So you can look at the CSV, and as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we only need 5 lines of code actually to create a map like this. Again, this is still interactive, so you can customize. The nice thing about this is just one single HTML file that you can just put that onto any website. You can embed the HTML to your website, and people will just be able to go to your website, and then they can allow them to customize the map just like this. You can disable this one if you want. I will later show you how to disable this. And again, you can, for example, add GeoJSON, XCSV. You can add a swap file, so it support any vector data format supported by Geopandas. So if you can use Geopandas to open the file, then you will be able to plot the data on the map, and then you can customize if you want to make it like 3D. Most of the map here are just 2D, but it doesn't have the limit. It depends on how you want to customize the map. For example, this is the population using the Geopandas data frame, and you can, again, it's only a couple lines of code, so very easy to create, and the API is very simple, so it's very consistent with other protein backend, for example, Folium and IPyLib that I have introduced in the past. Okay, so next, let's get into the source code. If you want to, you can certainly install the package and then use the package to create these maps, but you can directly use the notebook if you want. So if you go to notebooks and then click number 26, upper right corner here, you can click the download notebook icon, and you can download this one to your computer. So I'm going to download to my downloads directory, and then you can just open the directory. Okay, so after that, you can open your Anaconda prompt, or you can open your terminal, whatever way, whichever way that you want. So I'm just going to open my terminal, and then you need to conda activate the conda environment. So if you haven't used Leafmap before, you can go to the leafmap.org and then click installation on the left side here. You should be able to find how to install the package. So I highly recommend that you use this one using conda force, and this is the command line that you need to follow in order to install the package and also install Kepler GL. Keep that in mind, Kepler GL is only available through pip install. It's not available through conda. So so Kepler GL is not on official dependency of Leafmap, because this one depends on Geopandas, and Geopandas is might be very challenging to install, for example, on Windows. So make sure that you follow the exact same guideline here to install. You can also follow my video tutorial. For example, for the first Leafmap tutorial, I show you how to install Geopandas and Leafmap, but at that time I haven't added Kepler GL to the Leafmap yet. So this instruction only shows you how to install Geopandas and Leafmap, basically all the steps of this. And so all you need to do is just basically you need to install this one, pip install Kepler GL. So I'm going to go back to my terminal, and again, the conda environment we created is called Geo. So we just need to conda activate Geo, and then you just type pip install Kepler GL, hit enter. Since I already installed the package before, so I don't need to install again. And after you have finished the installation, then you just need to type Jupyter space notebook and then hit enter. It should open Jupyter notebook in your browser. If it doesn't open, you can just click the link and then just click the notebook to open it. Okay, so this is the example. We're going to go through one by one, and I'm going to show you again. You can also just click the launch binder. So if you launch binder, you can also directly open this one using your web browser. So in that case, you don't have to install anything on your computer, but I might need to sometimes it takes a while to actually launch the notebook. So since I already installed this one, I'm just going to just quickly show you how to get it started. So first you need to import the protein backend. So this is just Kepler is just one of the protein backend. We also have Folium, we have IPyLib and here map. So this is basically number 4. So we have 4 protein backend you can utilize. And first just could import the library, and next we're just going to create a map. So when you create the map, if you by default, if you don't provide anything, I can just delete this one and then just control enter. It's going to create the default map. So the default map, the height is 600 pixels, and you can click this one to show the customization panel. And let me go back and reverse this one. So by default, the center is in the United States. So for latitude and longitude for 40-degree latitude and negative 100-degree. So this in the west, and so it's in the US. Also the zoom level, the height, and also whether or not you want to use the wide screen. So the reason for this is sometimes, for example, here in Jupyter Notebook, it might be very narrow. So this one here, if you want to fully utilize the full screen, you can set this one to 2. So if you set to 2, and then if I execute again, you will see right now the entire map takes the full screen, right? So it's much better, so you have a lot more space. You can also change this one to a bit higher, so in that case you have a larger map. If you have a lot of data and then it becomes very crowded, you might want to change the parameter. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to force and change to, for example, 600 pixel. You can also change, for example, the center. So by default here is in the US. If you want to maybe somewhere in Europe or in Asian countries, you might want to change this one. Okay, so for example, I can also change maybe to they say latitude maybe 20, and then center put to 0. This will be somewhere in here in Europe, right? So it depends on how you want the default map to show. If you change the zoom level maybe to 5, it's going to zoom in a little bit, right? So this is here in Africa. Okay, so it depends on the country, you can customize that. Okay, so this is how easy it is, right? So it's 2 lines of code. If you don't provide anything, it's just going to use the default settings to create a map. That's it. Once you have the map, you can actually save this map as an HTML file. So all we need to do is just to call this function m.to HTML. By the way, if you want to figure out like what kind of function you can apply to the map that you created using this Kepler GL backend, you can go to the leafmap.org and then on the left side click API reference or API, and then click the Kepler module. On the right here, you should be able to find all the functions that you can apply to the map object, right? So you can add CSV, you can add a data frame, Geopandas data frame, or even Geopandas from Postgres and GeoJSON KML shapefile or any vector data. You can also save the configuration file or load this one. I'm going to show you later, but the one we're using right now is to HTML. So this is showing you how to save the map as an HTML so that you can put that file onto your website, and then so people can visualize the data. Again, you can also look at the source code if you want. So this one shows you what's the source code behind. Everything is open source, so you are welcome to look at the source code and contribute. Okay, so let's get back to this one. And so all we need to do is to pass this file, output equal to the file path. And so you can just change the file path. I can maybe just use this one. You should be fine. The example, I use the another directory because it's in the package directory. So I set the specific folder to save all the HTML. But in our case here, I can just change to my current directory, right? Because I'm under the downloads directory. So if I'm exporting the file to just Kepler.html, and the other parameter you can customize is read only equal to false. So read only, that means whether or not you allow the user to customize. So if you set this one to false, read only to false, that means user can customize. If you set to true, this one will not show up. Okay, so let's try this one first. Just shift enter and then go to our downloads directory. So you should be able to see the HTML being saved to the directory, and then you can just double click. By default, this is basically full screen, so you'll be able to see, for example, here, and this is what I'm talking about. You can click this one to change the customization. For example, you can change the dark mode to satellite. Excuse me. Let me close this one. So if I change the read only mode to true, and then if I execute again, come back here, open again. Now on the left side here, upper left, you don't have that customization panel again, so that one is gone. And that might be something you want to consider if you just want to make a nice map and let the user visualize, but you don't want them to mess up the map. Okay, so next, let's show you how to actually to add some data to the map. So next, I'm also going to show you this function here. I just commented out. So this one is called the static map. This is useful in some cases that when the map does not show up. So if you, for example, if you once you type this one M, and then if the map doesn't show up, that means that sometimes some of the plugin will not install properly, and you can actually use this function to show the map. So this is m.static map. It's basically built on top of the HTML, and then it's showing the HTML on this notebook cell. So let's execute this one. Oh, it doesn't work. So let me see here. Static map. So that might means the file is not being saved correctly. So it should be somewhere here. Anyway, so this function is just for cases when you cannot see the map. Okay, so I'm just going to comment out to save some time here. Next, I'm going to show you how to X some data. So we can actually X whatever vector data, CSV, Geopandas data frame, or shape file, or any vector KML, any format that you want to use. And so the first one I'm going to show you is a CSV. So again, we can change the center, what center you want to show. So the latitude and longitude, also the zoom level. When we create a map, we can pass in the CSV, but you can also pass in a configuration file. If you want to see what it looks like, you are welcome to just go to this URL, and maybe you can just right click and then go to this URL. It's going to show you what the data look like, right? So this is what the data we're going to use. This is basically the hexagon ID and the location, and also some of the attribute, also the time attribute. And the next one is a configuration. So the configuration file is a JSON file. It is basically just a dictionary. So this one customize what the map, how the map look like. And next I'm going to show you actually how to create this one. But for now, let's assume that you already have the configuration, and you can use this one. Maybe let me remove this one just to show you what it looks like. So if you don't use a configuration, right, I just use the function map.xcsv, and then passing the CSV file, the layer name, and use a control enter. It's going to show you this one. So by default, it's going to be a two-dimensional map. So if you move your mouse, it's going to show you like this, right? So, and that's why here on the left side, you can customize whatever way you want. For example, in this case, it's just X3 hexagon map. And you can change, for example, whatever how you want to customize, right? So once you finish the customization, you can click this one here. Oh, not this one. You can also change, for example, the satellite data if you want, right? The reason that we want to add a customization is once you have the map and it looks nice, you want to save the configuration so that you don't need to go through the same step to create a map again. You can just pass in the configuration. So I can just Control G and then Shift Enter. You should be able to see this one, and then if you click on the left side here, I'm not sure why there should be another icon, but it doesn't show up here. It's a bit weird. Anyway, so this is how you can actually finish the customization, and then you can zoom in, you can zoom out. So you can always load this configuration if you want. And let me see here. So for example, after this, if you change things, right, for example, and then I can maybe change this, say I want to change this base map to the satellite, right? And that's it. So next time, if you want to load the map looks like this, you don't want to go through the manual steps to change the base map to satellite, then what you can do is to basically save the configuration, and then you can export to the map, or you can next time you can just load the configuration. So I can just maybe save the configuration, and so let's go to the downloads directory, and now we have this configuration, right? So if you open this configuration, you can look at the configuration to see what it looks like within the file. And once you have this one, go back to this one here, and let me show you. or we can create the map again. So I'm just going to copy the code block here, and in this case I'm just going to pass in the configuration file. So in this case I can change this one right now to the one that we just created, right? So I can change to this one, and let's create a new map again, right? So now you see this one by default, when you create a map, it's going to use the satellite. So pretty nice. That means you can customize to whatever way you want, and then you can save the configuration. So you can always customize. For example, I can change the hexagon, I can change the color. So let's say I want this color. Okay, done. Once you're done, again, just execute this one to save the configuration, and then execute this one again. It's going to save the configuration. Okay, so pretty nice. Again, you can also export this one to a file. So you can just export this one. I'm just going to remove this, and then just shift enter, go back to the downloads directory, and this one is Kepler underscore hex. So it's this one that we just created, right? So now you have this kind of a nice map, and zoom in, you can zoom out. You can allow the user to again to customize the map if you want. Okay, so this is how you can add the CSV as a hexagon H3 map style. You can also add a GeoJSON. In this case, we're just going to use this GeoJSON, but you can also use a file stored on your local computer. So again, let me go to this one, right? So this is the file we're using. You can actually save this one to your computer if you want, right? Cable.gl. But first one here, I'm just going to show you, you can execute. So you can pass in any HTTP URL to a GeoJSON file. You can just replace this file to any URL you want, and then just execute. It's going to show you this. Similarly, you can use a local file path. I can just this one, and then cable shift, right? And then you can use this one. That means with this file comes from your local directory, and if I shift enter again, it's similar. You're going to create a map. So you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can click this one to change the customization. So click the drop down arrow, and then you can change the stroke color, right? Pretty nice. So you can customize any way you want. You can change the stroke, right? Thickness, you can change this very easily. So very responsive. You can turn off the color, like stroke color, if you want. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. So this is how you can add a GeoJSON. Besides that, you can also add this is also a polyline. You can also add polygons. So in this example, we're just going to load the United States polygon GeoJSON, right? And the function is just add GeoJSON, and you passing the HTTP URL. The next one is the layer name. So the layer name is whatever going to show up here in the layer control here, and you can easily, for example, if you don't want the fill color, you can turn off this one, turn it off. And for the stroke color, you can change the color, for example, to white, to yellow, whichever color that you prefer, and then you can change this one. You can also change the opacity. Where is it? Here. Turn off this one for the stroke width, right? So the thickness of the polygon, and so this is the fill color. You can also change the fill color if you want. So I can turn that one off. You can change the stroke color and change the width, right? Again, once you are satisfied with the map, and then you can just use save to HTML, and then you'll be able to open the HTML file easily. This one is for the United States. You can also load, for example, a country boundary, right? So very similar. And if you move your mouse, you'll be able to see the attribute, the pop-up attribute here easily. Again, you can turn off the fill color if you want, right? You can change the stroke color. Last example I'm going to show you is to add a Geopandas data frame to the map, okay? And this one, so it can be any Geopanda data frame, and we're just going to use the package to read a file. Again, Geopandas can read a file from HTTP URL, and this is the same example from the same repository, an example file of the Leafmap package. So this one is basically cities around the globe and the GeoJSON. So you can read this one, and we haven't executed this line first. Then you can just show the data, right? So this one has 1,249 cities, and you can see the column, how many attribute. And this case here, we have the latitude and also the longitude, because this is very important how we're going to deal with the geometry. And because it's a Geopandas data frame, there's a geometry column. So Kepler GL is able to actually identify the geometry column and then to plot the data on the map. So you can set the center, also the zoom level, and this is execute. Very easy, right? So it takes just less than 1 second, then you have the map. And this is just the point data. You can customize, for example, the size, for example, the stroke width, also the radius, right? You can change the radius, and you can also change the stroke. Or maybe, let's see, we can maybe change, this is the polygon, but maybe you can try the cluster. For example, you can change to cluster, and then you can change latitude and also longitude, right? So this is the cluster. That means if you have more points within a certain radius, you're going to have a larger point. If a smaller one, but you can also change the radius, right? So it depends on how you want to change the radius. So pretty nice, very dynamic. You can also customize the color if you want. You can change the color, right? It's very flexible, and there are all kinds of ways you can customize the map. So once you have a nice map, you can just simply save this one as an HTML. Let me remove this one here, and then shift enter. Then you can go back to your directory. You can just double click, then you have this file. So this is an HTML that you can host on any website, and then you can send the URL to other one. Then they will be able to visualize the map easily, and they can also customize the map if you want to, right? Okay, so that's pretty much all for this video. And so in the future, I'm going to have a few more videos showing you how to create more 3D maps. But this one is just to get you started how to create a map easily and how to add some data so you can get started. And hope you find this one useful, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.